Our planet is not only home to roads that guide the way, but also to routes that challenge life itself. Some of these structures are built on cliffs or perch precariously on the edge of bottomless abysses. At times, they can be found deep within forests, where even the slightest mistake can turn a journey into a never-ending nightmare. This is where fear blends with surreal beauty, where every meter of road is a test of survival. Would you want, at least once in your life, to behold the world from these most outrageous perspectives? Let us begin the journey to explore the most spectacular roads and bridges on the planet. What you see before your eyes is not the majestic Karakoram Range, but the sound of wind whistling through rusted cables. Hussaini is not a bridge for a leisurely stroll. It is an extreme psychological challenge. The wooden planks are sparsely spaced, sometimes a hand's width apart, revealing the swift-flowing Hunza River below. Just imagine what would happen if you were careless for even a minute. The Hussaini suspension bridge also serves as a lifeline for the Wakhi people, who use it to move livestock, such as yaks, to high mountain pastures. Without this bridge, their entire way of life would not be possible. If you plan to visit, this is what the locals will tell you. Keep your gaze level and never look down for too long. Only hold onto the ropes when the wind is calm, because when gusts come, the bridge can sway violently. And here is what will send a chill down your spine. Right next to the current bridge lie the tattered remains of the old bridge from 1968, a haunting visual reminder of the destructive power of the river. Now let's travel to Colorado, where you'll find a bridge that held the world record for height for over 70 years. The Royal Gorge Bridge sits 956 feet above the Arkansas River. That's the equivalent of a 90-story building. When you take your first steps onto this 1,260-foot span, you immediately feel like you've entered a Hollywood adventure movie. The bridge sways with every step as wind howls through the canyon, and looking down into the deep gorge with its swirling river and jagged rocks sends a surge of adrenaline through your entire body. Here's an engineering secret most visitors never notice. The deck uses 1,292 wooden planks. But look closely, and you'll see a half-inch gap between each one. It's an aerodynamic slatting technique that allows wind to pass through, preventing the bridge from oscillating to destruction. Without these gaps, the solid surface would catch wind like a sail, creating dangerous resonance that could literally shake the bridge apart. Every year, maintenance crews must replace roughly 250 of these planks due to extreme weathering from the high-altitude environment. I recommend going in spring or fall to avoid summer crowds and harsh winter weather. Wear comfortable shoes because the path leading up to the bridge is quite steep. And at this altitude, the thin air will leave you breathless faster than you expect. If you think the previous bridges were intense, wait until you hear about this one. The Zhangjiajie Grand Canyon Glass Bridge, officially known as Untitled, spans 1,410 feet between two sheer cliffs. But the real terror comes from what's beneath your feet. Ultra-clear tempered glass. You're not walking on solid ground. You're standing on transparency, with 984 feet of empty air between you and the canyon floor below. Another fascinating detail is that the bridge is set among 3,000 quartz sandstone pillars, the inspiration for the Hallelujah Mountains in the film Avatar. When morning mist covers the valley, the bases of the pillars disappear completely, making the bridge feel as though it is floating among the clouds of an alien world. The bridge can support the weight of 450 to 500 people at the same time, and it integrates 9-dimensional sound technology with 60 different visual effects. Sometimes, as you walk, you will hear the sound of glass cracking beneath your feet. Do not panic. It is an intentional sound effect designed to test your nerves and heighten the thrill. Now we head to the French Alps, where altitude becomes your main enemy. The Aiguille du Midi footbridge sits at 12,605 feet above sea level. At this height, the air is so thin that visitors are warned to move slowly to avoid fainting. And did you know that the iconic 16-meter bridge you see today was actually replaced in 2024? The new steel span was transported by helicopter in a precise operation that required 4 months of planning for an installation window of just 1 hour. This new bridge is designed to withstand winds of 158 miles per hour and temperatures as low as -4 degrees Fahrenheit. At this altitude, the albedo effect from the glaciers is so intense that you must wear high-quality sunglasses to avoid snow blindness. Let's travel to the rugged coast of Northern Ireland, where history and terror intertwine. The Carrick-a-Rede rope bridge isn't a modern tourist attraction. It's a working structure built in 1755 by salmon fishermen who needed to reach the island to check their nets. For over 2.5 centuries, this bridge has been a lifeline for those brave enough to cross. The bridge spans roughly 66 feet and hangs 98 feet above the azure Atlantic Ocean. As you take your first steps, the bridge begins to sway with each footfall and the strong winds coming off the ocean. Below you, there are just sparsely spaced wooden planks and a rushing, swirling current of white waves crashing against jagged rocks. Here's what makes this particularly challenging. In the 1970s, the bridge had only a single handrail and massive gaps between planks. Today's version uses Douglas fir and modern safety cables. But it still induces such terror that the National Trust frequently has to rescue trapped tourists by boat because they're too paralyzed by fear to walk back. Listen for the nesting fulmars and razorbills as you cross. Their cries are often the only thing you'll hear over the Atlantic gales. The natural warning system of seabirds can actually help you gauge wind conditions. If the birds are struggling to fly or staying grounded, the winds are too dangerous for crossing. The Stelvio Pass is famous for its relentless hairpin turns. 48 on the northern ramp and 36 on the southern side. This route demands total focus and a steady hand on the wheel. The road is barely wide enough for 2 cars to pass each other, with sheer cliffs on one side and a chasm on the other. Only a thin concrete barrier separates you from the nothingness below. The scariest sections have no barrier at all, just a crumbling edge where the asphalt meets empty air. The altitude of over 9,000 feet means the air is thin enough to affect your judgment. And reaction time. My advice: if you're driving this pass, start your descent in second gear and never let your speed build. Your brakes will thank you, and you'll actually make it to the bottom alive. Here's a bridge that exists only because of climate change. The Trift suspension bridge was built because the Trift glacier retreated so rapidly that the old hiking path to the mountain hut simply disappeared. As the ice melted away, it left behind a massive gap that needed to be crossed. The solution was this 558-foot bridge, modeled after Nepalese high-wire bridges, spanning 558 feet over a turquoise glacier lake. But don't let its slender appearance fool you. This is one of the highest and longest pedestrian suspension bridges in the Alps, hanging 328 feet above the Triftsy Lake. As you step onto the bridge, the swaying comes not only from the wind blowing through the ravine, but also from your own footsteps. There's a feeling of weightlessness that is both exhilarating and threatening. The bridge is incredibly narrow, just wide enough for two people to pass each other carefully. The real challenge comes from the katabatic winds. These are cold, dense air masses that descend from the surrounding peaks, accelerating as they funnel through the valley. When these winds hit the bridge, it can sway several feet in either direction. You feel the structure moving beneath you, and every instinct screams that something is wrong, that the bridge is failing. But this movement is actually by design. A rigid bridge would snap under these forces. The flexibility allows it to absorb and dissipate the wind energy. For those with a fear of heights, looking through the metal mesh floor down at the deep blue lake is an extreme psychological challenge. The color of the water is stunning, that otherworldly turquoise that comes from glacial melt, carrying fine rock particles. But that beauty is hundreds of feet below you, and your brain keeps reminding you that only a thin metal mesh and some cables stand between you and that long fall. The Bach Long Glass Bridge, whose name means white dragon, is currently the world's longest glass-bottom bridge at 2,073 feet. That's over a third of a mile of transparent flooring, suspended over a 492-foot drop. When you step off the stone platform onto the ultra-clear tempered glass, the first sensation is complete emptiness. Beneath your feet is not earth and rock, but the vast, bottomless expanse of a valley. The bridge uses super-tempered Saint-Gobain glass panels imported from France. Each panel consists of 3 layers of 57-inch thick glass, reinforced with SentryGuard Plus vinyl. This laminated unit provides the structural capacity to support 450 to 500 individuals simultaneously. To prove its safety, engineers drove an SUV across the glass panels before opening to the public, demonstrating that the surface could handle point-load impacts far exceeding normal foot traffic. The bridge also features anti-slip ceramic printing treatment on each panel, essential for the misty conditions characteristic of the Mak Chau Highlands, where fog can roll in within minutes. The bridge clings to the side of sheer limestone cliffs, curving gently to follow the natural contours of the mountain. This curve creates a disorienting effect where you can't see the end of the bridge from the beginning. You're committing to a journey where the destination is hidden, walking on glass over a chasm, with only faith in engineering keeping you alive. The Sidu River Bridge in China's Hubei province held the title of world's highest bridge from 2009 to 2016, with a clearance height of 1,627 feet above the gorge. That's taller than the Empire State Building. But the height isn't the most remarkable thing about this bridge. It's how they built it. The geographical constraints of the Sidu River Valley made traditional construction methods impossible. The gorge walls are nearly vertical, between 75 and 90 degrees, covered in dense forest. Helicopters couldn't navigate the treacherous winds. Boats couldn't reach the location. So engineers did something that had never been attempted before. They used military rockets to launch the first pilot cables across the 3,609-foot chasm. On October 6, 2006, rockets carrying Shinlon ropes, a highly elastic yarn, were fired across the gap. The rockets completed the journey in approximately 10 seconds, achieving precision within 33 to 49 feet of the target location despite challenging gorge winds. Once the pilot cables were in place, workers could begin the painstaking process of pulling progressively heavier cables across until the main suspension cables were installed. The entire deck is a steel truss design that had to be assembled in sections and lifted into place. The engineering achievement here is staggering, but so is the physical sensation of crossing it. A person falling from this bridge would reach terminal velocity, the maximum speed attainable during freefall. Before impact, terminal velocity for a human in a belly-to-earth position is about 120 miles per hour, reached after falling approximately 1,500 feet. This bridge is higher than that. The fall would last long enough for a person to accelerate to maximum speed and maintain it before hitting the ground. That's not just high, that's existentially terrifying. Now we're entering truly dark territory. The Kolyma Highway, officially designated RR 504, stretches 1,262 miles from Yakutsk to Magadan in the Russian Far East. It's famously known as the Road of Bones, and that name is not metaphorical. The construction of this highway from 1932 to 1953 relied on the forced labor of hundreds of thousands of Gulag prisoners, many of whom were worked to death in temperatures reaching negative 58 degrees Fahrenheit. And because the ground is permanently frozen, traditional burial is impossible, so the remains of those who died were often interred directly within the roadbed itself, serving as a literal foundation for the route. Beneath the crumbling asphalt and mud lie the bones of countless prisoners. With every meter, your wheels roll. You're driving over what is essentially a mass grave, stretching for hundreds of miles. But the historical horror is only part of what makes this road dangerous. The Kolyma Highway traverses the coldest inhabited regions on Earth, including the Oymyakon district, where record temperatures have reached negative 96 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the Pole of Cold, the coldest permanently inhabited place on the planet. Survival in this environment is entirely dependent on vehicle preparation and cold weather adaptation. Standard vehicles simply cannot function here. The oil turns to gel. The metal becomes brittle. Rubber shatters like glass. If you think bridges need multiple supporting pillars rising from the ground, then the Langkawi Sky Bridge will completely shatter that assumption. The entire 410-foot bridge is suspended from a single 269-foot-high steel pillar tilted at an 80-degree angle. It's like a giant seesaw perched 2,165 feet above sea level on Mount Machinchang. The construction itself was a logistical nightmare. The bridge was prefabricated in sections and lifted into place by Russian Kamov helicopters because the terrain was too steep and inaccessible for cranes. Imagine the precision required to fly heavy steel sections through mountain winds and position them perfectly hundreds of feet in the air. One miscalculation, one unexpected gust of wind, and millions of dollars of materials would plummet into the jungle below. But here's what makes walking across it such a unique psychological experience. The bridge isn't perfectly straight. It curves gently between the peaks, following the natural contours of the mountain. This design allows you to enjoy panoramic views of the Andaman Sea and the surrounding islands. But it also creates a profound sense of disorientation. When you look down the length of the bridge, the curve prevents you from seeing the end. To reach the bridge, you must first take a 4-mile cable car ride up the mountain, then use an inclined lift called the Sky Glide. This journey itself is part of the experience, building anticipation and anxiety as you ascend higher and higher into the clouds. The Tianmen Mountain Road, also known as Tongtian Avenue or Heaven-Linking Avenue, features 99 sharp bends over a 8-mile stretch. But these aren't gentle curves. These are hairpin turns so aggressive that the back of a bus often appears to overhang the abyss during the turn. The road climbs from 656 feet to 4,265 feet above sea level, an elevation gain that would be challenging on any road. The number 99 isn't random. It represents the 9 times 9 curves required to achieve ascension to heaven in Chinese philosophy. The symbolism is intentional. This road is meant to be a spiritual journey as much as a physical one. Construction took place from 1998 to 2005 and cost over 100 million yuan, which is approximately $14 million. Workers had to drill through vertical limestone cliffs manually while suspended by cables because machines couldn't reach the sheer walls. For drivers, this road is a grueling test of steering precision and brake management. The average incline varies between 7 and 15%, which might not sound extreme, But combined with the constant turning, it creates enormous stress on both vehicle and driver. The most terrifying aspect is the lack of guardrails on many sections. This isn't an oversight. It's a necessity. The turns are so tight that vehicles need every inch of road width to complete them. A guardrail would make the turns physically impossible for larger vehicles. So instead, there's just a crumbling edge where asphalt meets air, and beyond that, a drop of hundreds or thousands of feet. At 9,980 feet above sea level, the Titlis Cliff Walk holds the distinction of being Europe's highest elevation suspension bridge. This isn't just high, it's high enough that altitude sickness becomes a real concern for visitors not properly acclimatized. The bridge itself is only 328 feet long and just over 3 feet wide, spanning a 1,640-foot chasm. That width is barely enough for two people to pass each other, and when you're doing so, you're acutely aware that there's nothing but air on both sides. The engineering here had to account for extreme snow loads. The bridge is designed to hold 450 tons of snow, a necessary specification given the year-round precipitation on Mount Titlis. In winter, the bridge can be covered in several feet of snow and ice, making the already narrow walkway even more treacherous. The metal grating floor becomes slippery, and the wind chill at this altitude can drop temperatures to life-threatening levels within minutes. After crossing, visitors can board the Ice Flyer chairlift, which takes you directly over glacier crevasses that are 33 feet deep. These crevasses are essentially bottomless cracks in the ice, and the chairlift passes just feet above them. You can look down into the blue depths of the glacier, seeing the layers of compressed snow and ice that have accumulated over centuries. It's beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. The reward for conquering your fear is an unparalleled view of the Swiss Alps, with peaks stretching to the horizon in every direction. The $1 Million Highway, a 25-mile stretch of U.S. Route 550 between Silverton and Ouray in Colorado. Here's what makes this road uniquely terrifying. There are 0 guardrails on the most dangerous stretches. Not because of budget constraints or oversight, but because of snow. The road reaches elevations over 11,000 feet at Red Mountain Pass, where winter snowfall can exceed 20 feet if guardrails were installed. Snowplows couldn't push the heavy snow over the edge, and the road would be permanently blocked all winter. The snow would pile up against the guardrails, eventually covering the entire road and making it impassable for months. So instead, there's nothing. Just you, your vehicle, and a 1,000-foot drop into the Untitled Gorge just inches from your tires. The road was originally built in the 1880s by Otto Mears to connect mining towns during the Colorado silver boom. Back then, it was even more primitive, just a wagon trail carved into the mountainside. In winter, the road becomes a ribbon of ice. In summer, rock slides are common. In spring, snowmelt creates waterfalls that cascade across the road. And in fall, early snows can catch unprepared drivers. The Karnali Highway is often cited not for its height or its hairpins, but for its complete unpredictability. Most of this road is unpaved. It's a mixture of rubble, muddy slush in the rainy season, and thick dust in the dry season. The substrate is constantly shifting. What was solid ground yesterday might be a crumbling edge today. On one side is a sheer cliff ready to collapse at any moment. On the other, a bottomless abyss leading straight down to the river, sometimes thousands of feet below. There are stretches of road barely wide enough for a single truck. So what happens when two vehicles coming from opposite directions meet? It's what locals call the reverse dance. One driver has to back up hundreds of meters on this treacherous terrain to reach a wider passing point. Night driving on the Karnali is strongly discouraged, but sometimes unavoidable. The lack of lighting means you're driving by headlights alone, and the dust is so thick that visibility drops to just a few feet. The road passes through remote villages, where help is hours or days away. If your vehicle breaks down, you're stranded. If you have an accident, there's no ambulance, no helicopter rescue. You rely on the kindness of passing drivers. And in this harsh environment, That kindness is often the only thing standing between survival and death. Deception Pass Bridge connects Whidbey Island and Fidalgo Island, and the name comes from Captain George Vancouver's 1792 expedition. He was deceived by the narrow waterway into thinking Whidbey Island was a peninsula, not realizing the treacherous strait that separated it from the mainland. That deception nearly cost his expedition dearly. And today, the bridge that spans this gap carries that warning in its very name. The bridge sits at the equivalent of an 18-story building above the water, approximately 180 feet at its highest point. But the real danger isn't the height, it's what's happening in the water below. Deception Pass has some of the fastest moving tidal currents in the entire Puget Sound region, with water speeds reaching 8 to 9 knots. These powerful currents create massive whirlpools capable of swallowing small boats whole. The water churns and boils like a cauldron, and the sound of it echoes up to the bridge deck. When you walk across the narrow pedestrian pathway, you're standing on a structure that's just wide enough for 2 lanes of traffic, plus a slim walkway. The railings are relatively low compared to modern bridge standards, and when you look to the side, you don't see protective barriers. You see the abyss and the churning water directly beneath your feet. The bridge sways noticeably in the wind, which funnels through the pass with increased velocity due to the narrow geography. Pedestrians are advised to maintain a horizon lock, focusing on distant points rather than the turbulent water below. To prevent vertigo, the area is also known for sudden weather changes. Fog can roll in within minutes, reducing visibility to nearly zero. When this happens, the bridge becomes a surreal experience. You're suspended in white nothingness, unable to see either end of the bridge, with only the sound of wind and water to orient yourself. Los Caracoles Pass, which translates to the Snail's Pass, features 29 switchbacks that twist and turn as they climb to an elevation of 10,419 feet. The name is perfect because the road literally spirals up the mountain like a snail's shell, each curve bringing you higher into the thin air of the Andes. This isn't just a scenic mountain drive. It's a critical commercial route between Chile and Argentina, which means it's frequented by massive B-double trucks carrying goods across the border. These trucks are enormous, often over 80 feet long, and watching them navigate these hairpin turns is both impressive and terrifying. The drivers must swing wide, using the entire width of the road and sometimes beyond, to make the turns without jackknifing or going over the edge. The weather adds another layer of danger. At over 10,000 feet, conditions can change instantly. Clear skies can become blinding snowstorms within minutes. The temperature can drop 30 or 40 degrees Fahrenheit in an hour. Ice forms on the road surface, making the hairpin turns nearly impossible to navigate safely. During winter months, the pass is frequently closed due to snow and ice, stranding travelers on either side and disrupting the flow of commerce between the two countries. The Mackinac Bridge in Michigan spans 5 miles across the Straits of Mackinac, connecting the upper and lower peninsulas. From a distance, it looks like any other large suspension bridge. But when you actually drive onto it, you discover why so many people require help to cross. The center lanes of the bridge are made of open steel grating instead of solid pavement. This design serves an important engineering purpose. The grates reduce wind resistance, allowing air to pass through, rather than creating lift that could destabilize the bridge. They also provide better traction in snowy conditions, because snow and ice fall through the grates rather than accumulating on the surface. But here's the psychological nightmare. These grates allow you to see directly through the road surface to the water, 200 feet below. Now we're heading to one of the most isolated roads in North America. Route 500 in Labrador, Canada, stretches for hundreds of miles through absolute wilderness. You can drive for 4 to 5 hours without seeing another soul, a gas station, or even a phone signal. The rearview mirror shows only dust in summer or white snow in winter. This isn't just a remote road. It's a journey into genuine isolation, where self-reliance isn't optional. The primary danger here isn't the road itself. which is relatively well maintained compared to some others we've discussed. The danger is what can suddenly appear on the road: moose. These animals can weigh over 1,200 pounds, and they have a habit of standing in the middle of the road, especially at night. Colliding with a moose at highway speed is like crashing into a brick wall, except the brick wall can come through your windshield. The long legs of a moose mean that when you hit one, the body often rolls up onto the hood and crashes through the windshield into the passenger compartment. This has killed numerous drivers over the years. In winter, Route 500 transforms into a stark white ribbon of ice, where the line between the road and a sheer drop is separated only by one wrong turn of the wheel. The snow can be so deep that the road edges disappear entirely. You're navigating by memory and intuition, hoping that the path you think is the road actually is the road. If you break down in winter, the cold can kill you within hours if you're not prepared. Survival kits are mandatory, including tire patches, food, water, extra fuel, emergency blankets, and communication devices. Even with all this preparation, help might be a day or more away. The vine bridges of Iya Valley in Japan are among the oldest functional bridges still in use today. There's no concrete, no exposed steel, no modern materials at all. Beneath your feet are small wooden planks, woven together with vines harvested from the surrounding forest. These bridges have been rebuilt using the same traditional methods for centuries, a living connection to Japan's past. The most famous of these is the Kazurabashi Bridge, which spans roughly 148 feet and hangs 46 feet above the Iya River. As you take your first steps, the wood creaks and groans, the planks shifting against each other in a rhythm that reminds you of the bridge's organic nature. The floorboards are spaced incredibly far apart, wide enough that an adult's foot could easily slip through if you're not careful. When you look down to see where to place your foot, you see the Iya River flowing white with rapids directly beneath you. The vines that hold the bridge together are replaced every 3 years to maintain structural integrity. This regular maintenance is crucial because the vines are organic material that degrades over time. The bridge you're walking on is literally alive in a sense, made from materials that were recently growing in the forest. This creates a profound connection to nature that modern bridges simply cannot replicate. You're trusting your life to plant fibers, to the skill of craftsmen who wove these vines together, and to centuries of accumulated knowledge about which vines are strongest and how to bind them properly. Valley winds shake the bridge constantly, unlike modern suspension bridges with their steel cables and engineered dampening systems. These vine bridges move freely with every gust. You feel like you're walking on a living thing that breathes and sways with the wind. The psychological challenge is accepting this movement, understanding that the flexibility is actually what keeps the bridge safe. A rigid structure would snap under the forces that these bridges absorb and dissipate through movement. If you found this journey through impossible places fascinating, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss next week's video. Thanks for watching.